Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 26th episode of the Drive Podcast. As always, I'm Jared with Kyle. Pretty much, really the same as last week. Pretty much, just minus the Sixers uniform drop. But yeah, we're gonna be talking a little bit of Eagles, because their first preseason game is Thursday against the Packers. And obviously, Phillies and whatnot. So, yeah, what's up, Kyle? What's up? How about you?
This preseason, I seriously still can't believe that we're already at preseason.
That's crazy.
It feels like just yesterday that it was, June, and we were still 2 months away from this stuff. We were just at the draft and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's hard to believe that it's already time for meaningful football.
Yeah, I mentioned it last week. It's like once football season ends in February, right? It's like it seems like the start to the next season is so far away, but then you get to the draft in usually March or not March, April, May, and then once you get past the draft, it's kind of just OTAs, camp, whatever. But it's, I don't know, the off season feels so long once you're in February and March, but then once you hit the end of May, early June, it's like holy shit, practices, OTAs, training camp starts in the next month or two. So it's football season's football off season is the weirdest off season.
It is.
For me, at least. It feels so long, but then and then in the same spirit, it's there's no such thing as really an off season of football, because there's OTAs and everything. So
especially not in Philly, because Fletcher Cox has to, him skipping those OTAs, that fucked everyone up so much. It's we think that players don't get any break, but for Eagles fans, 36,000 at the last practice, that's fucking insane. For practice.
Oh my god. Yeah. It's insane. Yeah, 30,000 in the first well, was it 30,000 or was it 20-something thousand?
Yeah, it was 20. They upped it 16,000.
Yeah, I think it was that's remarkable. Cuz there's teams the Chargers this year are going to be playing in, I think, what is it, Qualcomm Stadium or whatever it's called. That place doesn't even hold 36,000.
Yeah, it's the soccer stadium. It's
yeah.
Fuck.
I can't remember what it's called. But it's that place doesn't even hold 36,000 people. I think it only holds 33,000. So
I'm gonna look it up now.
It's crazy. Eagles fans are insane. That was unbelievable.
Oh wait, I guess they have two stadiums. Oh, okay. I'm looking this up or whatever. Yeah, so it's the capacity for the StubHub Center, which is where I guess they're playing the majority of their games, is 27,000.
Yeah, it's literally a soccer stadium.
Yeah, I can't believe the NFL actually approved doing that. That's insane to me.
Yeah, they had to move soon, I guess.
But
makes sense, but
I don't know. San Diego got screwed. Anyway,
yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a
yeah.
But yeah, that practice this week and for the Eagles, 36,000, insane. There's some teams that don't even get 36,000 game attendance sometimes.
Like the Jaguars.
Yeah, it's insane. But yeah, so their first preseason game, like I mentioned when I opened, this Thursday, is at Lambeau against the Packers, 8 p.m. It's Thursday. I think it's on. I'm not sure the channel. I want to say it might be on NFL Network, maybe.
It could be. Usually for me,
it's
on
NFL
ABC
Network
or Fox, but.
Yeah. Usually, Eagles games usually are on Fox.
Let me check.
Except
I'm just gonna go to
Thursday
NFL.
Games.
To NFL.com.
Yeah, except the Thursday games, which usually are NFL Network, but I believe that there is a good amount of Thursday preseason games, so it's not.
Yeah, that's usually the majority, and Fuck, I have no idea because NFL.com is confusing as shit.
I'll look it up as well.
Fuck, I don't know. I don't think it's on NFL Network.
Let me see. It says on the Eagles website. It says, I
think it's gonna be on like 6ABC or something. Like and this is obviously if you're listening to this in like Pennsylvania, because that's at least what I know it as. But
yeah. I don't know.
yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's on. It's gonna be on TV.
Well, that's
so I'm sure. If you really care about watching it, I'm sure you know what channel it's on by now, or like your local station. It's probably just gonna be on one of those because that's usually how preseason games work. It's on like.
Okay.
Local, whatever.
It is. Is Thursday the 10th?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yeah,
yes. Okay, so I believe it is on NBC. It says NBC 10.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what. Yeah, that makes sense.
So that I believe is NBC.
Yeah, it's
all four of their games are on NBC 10.
Oh, all right then. Oh, it's probably part of that.
So that makes it easy, at least.
I think it's part of that partnership with like Comcast and everything, because like the Phillies are on NBC 10 sometimes, and yeah.
Mhm. Yep. All right. Yeah. So that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, if you don't know what NBC 10 is, figure it out, because I probably don't know either.
I'm sure someone's gonna stream it online anyway, so
yeah,
it's probably the easier option.
Just go. Literally, if you don't know what NBC 10 is, just go on Reddit and search NFL streams, and you'll find it. It's bound to be there. Like, there will be probably 6,000 streams. Anyway, as for what the actual game will mean, not much. It's the first preseason game. Usually you'll barely see starters, if at all. I assume that you'll see a few guys who are going to start, like your linemen. You might get some reps from your secondary and your some of your receivers, some of your linebackers, but like very limited. Like usually, because I don't think last year. Well, Wentz probably played in his first preseason game last year just because he was a rookie, but this year he might not. You might see I'll say probably the most reps you'll see out of starters is on the offensive and the defensive line, just because there's really not many, backup guys who are going to play like huge roles. I mean, there's going to be probably an 8 or 9 man rotation on the defensive line, but there's all 8 or 9 of those guys are going to actually play a lot, so it's not like, you're going to miss out here and there. But offensive line, you'll probably see some guys playing, not a bunch, like I said. It's just limited for starters. Pretty much just backups, trying to make the roster. And then obviously the coveted third preseason game is when usually all the starters play at least 2, sometimes 3 quarters. So, but this is kind of just a tune-up to that, I guess you could say.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I feel like maybe the cornerbacks could get a little bit more work than they typically would, like, in a normal preseason, just because you have guys like Jalen Mills, and Russell Douglas may as well be a starter at this point, and Patrick Robinson, who the hell knows what he's going to do. If Patrick Robinson goes whatever, how many reps he's going to get without getting burnt once, I will be very surprised.
Yeah.
That's how bad it's been in training camp. But
yeah, the odds that Aaron Rodgers plays is probably none.
Maybe
0,
like a drive,
pretty much.
That's it.
Which, maybe like the first drive or 2 of the game, depending on, how quickly the Packers defense could get the ball back if they have possession first or whatever. But yeah, you really just hope that they don't get burned on like the first drive of the game, which they probably will. Like, let's not kid ourselves. It's Aaron Rodgers we're talking about.
All I'm picturing now is like Rodgers going deep on the first play and Patrick Robinson's
to Jordy. Yeah.
And it's just like, there's a touchdown.
Yep.
First play of the preseason.
Then everyone will overreact because.
Oh yeah.
But But yeah, really, like I said, pretty much just going to be most of the time, most of the reps that we'll see will be from guys who are, like for example, like a Matt Collins or Marcus Johnson, who are two of the guys who are vying for roster spots. Um, and also you'll probably see a little bit of Nelson Aguilar, Jordan Matthews, because they're up until the last day pretty much. Nelson Aguilar has had a good camp. Obviously Jordan Matthews is injured. He's I think he's only practiced like a limited amount. Um, but yeah, Nelson Aguilar has played or has had a relatively good camp up until the last day, which when he started dropping passes and everything. But coincidentally, it was weird because the day that Aguilar started to drop passes was the first day that Alshon Jeffrey. It was the first practice that he was held out of, just for precautionary. He didn't get injured, but that's weird. So I don't know if that means anything, but sure is coincidental that it was like that.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is maybe he was putting a lot of pressure on himself, just like, Alshon's not here to steal the show. Let me see if I can do something, and it just kind of got in his head, which...
Yeah.
It's Nelson Aguilar. He's gotten in his head from day one of him
much.
being here, so... Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me, but hopefully it was just, whatever. It was just a coincidence. It was just an off day. But, he's definitely going to have to, step up definitely in a preseason.
Yeah, for sure. And, I don't think the Aguilar Matthews kind of debate is really... Honestly, like, I don't see the problem in keeping both, because you figure we're going to have Alshon this year, obviously. We're going to have Torrey Smith. And, I mean, Alshon's on a 1-year deal. Smith is on a 3-year deal. But, we'll probably figure that as long as everything goes well, that the Eagles will re-sign Alshon Jeffrey after the season. And then you still have Aguilar and Matthews, who both are, obviously Aguilar was first round pick back in 2014, and Jordan Matthews has kind of been like the number one target for Eagles quarterbacks the last 2 or 3 years. When he's not that, he's a number 3 receiver or number 1 slot guy at best. So now that we have both of these guys kind of in their, actual roles that they were kind of slated to play when they were drafted, I think it gives them confidence because, they can return to, being comfortable, like, while playing on the field. They're not going to have so much pressure on themselves like they have had the previous 2 years. And even when they've had all this pressure, I mean, Jordan Matthews hasn't been, too bad as a number 1 receiver. I mean, I don't think he's had a 1,000-yard season, but he had 800 and I think, 17 yards, 814 yards, I think, last year. And I think the year before that, he had, I think, like 600 or something like that, or 700 maybe. But, like, he hasn't been too bad. It's just everything around him hasn't been, there to kind of offset his inability to be, a viable, elite number 1 receiver in the league. But now Alshon Jeffrey's there, and now Torrey Smith is there as a number 2 guy. So, pretty much, like, the two of these guys, Nelson Aguilar and Jordan Matthews, they're going to be back in their actual roles that they've been used to playing forever now. And then we're so suddenly switched out of when they got to the biggest stage of them all in the NFL, especially in Philadelphia, because it magnifies everything here. But yeah, I don't know. I think you have to give it another year, maybe even 2, just to see how these guys can perform in the actual roles that they were, used to playing in before they got here. All right, so okay, we're back. We had some technical issues. Kyle's headphones wouldn't work, but we're good now. So we were talking about Nelson Aguilar and Jordan Matthews, and Kyle heard basically none of what I said, but it's fine because you heard it.
Yeah,
so,
literally nothing.
Basically, what I was going on with was saying basically that Aguilar and Matthews, they haven't really like the competition, the situation regarding them hasn't really like started yet. I guess if you want to say like the Nelson Aguilar versus Jordan Matthews kind of thing, like as for who should be the slot receiver going forward, because obviously we're gonna keep having. We're going to continue having, Alshon and Torrey Smith for at least the next year. Torrey Smith for the next 3. So at this point, it's really just we have to kind of see what Aguilar and Matthews are going to do in the actual role that they were comfortable playing and go from there, pretty much.
Pretty much. I mean, obviously, if you're going to look at it from just like a solely like a talent standpoint, I think Nelson has the better outside wide receiver potential than Jordan does. Jordan is definitely like primarily a slot guy, I think, going forward. But yeah, we're going to see in preseason what Aguilar really has, and if he has a strong preseason, it's going to help him a lot, and it's definitely going to make J-Matt a lot more expendable because, and this has been said about Aguilar for a while now, like when he's in open space and he has the ball, he is dangerous. It's just he never catches the ball and he can never get the ball. So I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what those two are going to do, and then obviously Mac Hollins and Marcus Johnson. It's the wide receiver position. We mentioned this last week. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and there's been we talked about him last week a little bit, but Greg Ward, who took it. Well, I think they signed him as an undrafted free agent as a quarterback, but then now he's switched to a wide receiver, and he's had a really good camp. Pretty much, everybody's reporting that, not just a few people. But you got to figure he could even sneak on the roster, maybe as I don't even know, maybe like a special teams kind of guy or whatever, but.
Like a Josh Huff, kind of.
Yeah. We'll just have to see, obviously, going forward. But, then the other guys, kind of like Kyle mentioned before, Russell Douglas, kind of see what he could do. And Corey Graham, who they recently signed, he played safety for the Bills the last 2 seasons. So, who knows? He might get some looks. And then Derek Barnett, Vinny Curry. That position battle is probably going to be a little bit closer than people expect. People are probably like, okay, well, Vinny Curry probably is going to run away with it because, he's experienced and whatnot. But Derek Barnett is, he's good. So, we'll just pretty much have to watch.
It depends. Pretty much. Yeah, it depends on how, especially the matchups that Barnett gets. Like, if he faces off against the starters most of the time, then it's probably a better or more likely scenario that Curry starts. But if Barnett's facing off against the second team guys mostly, and you hope that Barnett's just going to eat up those second string guys because they're second string guys. But I don't know, we'll see. It's defensive end, like you said, is definitely going to be a lot closer than I think people are kind of leading on. Like, depending on how good Barnett looks, he very well could win that job. It's not like Vinny Curry has been any kind of impressive over the past, really year and a half, kind of. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it's the first preseason game. There can't really look too much into it, but I don't know. It's just good to have football back. It's just kind of it's a distraction from the Phillies, so it's definitely a good thing.
Pretty much. Yeah, and that pretty much will do it for kind of the Eagles preseason preview. Just kind of recap it a little bit. You're not going to see many starters, and the ones you do, you won't see them for long. Pretty much just looking for guys who position battles, backup battles, and just rookies, pretty much rookies under the radar guys who could make solid impressions, end up making the roster to start the season. So that'll pretty much wrap on the Eagles. Now to move to the severely less exciting part in the Phillies. Obviously, sucks to say, but Darren Dalton passed away from brain cancer on yesterday, I believe. Yes, yesterday, the 6th of August, which, maybe it might have been the 5th. They might have not just announced it till the 6th, but obviously send condolences to them and everything. I never. I mean, Kyle. Neither me nor Kyle really saw him like play because we weren't alive, really. But seeing clips, obviously heard numerous things about him, and obviously it sucks whenever a former player passes away. But Dalton, with everything you've heard about his character, his drive to make everybody better, his leadership and everything, it sucks a little bit more, especially when you have so many current day, not only fans but current day some players, coaches, John Kruk in the booth, like these guys they played with him, coached with them, so it sucks because then you got to hear them talk about it and everything, but yeah, so that obviously a bit of bad news to start off there, but
yeah, Dutch was one of the best all-time Phillies, even though he only had like 2 or 3 like really important years here. But it was like you've heard all the stories from John Kruk and all the guys in like the '93 team. Like he was one of the best leaders in all of baseball. Phillies don't even come close to reaching the 93 World Series if it isn't for Dutch. And I saw a lot of the other things, like he doesn't, like the Marlins in '97 don't even, like they maybe don't win that World Series without Dutch joining the team later that year. So just really sucks. And it's so many Phillies have, like former Phillies have died from brain cancer, and it's just, I don't know, it's weird, it sucks, it's not.
Yeah, it's gotta be something with the vet. Like, it had to be. Because you figure,
man,
it was Dalton, Tug McGraw, Dallas Green. I mean, Dallas Green didn't have cancer, but he wasn't too old, really. So it's kind of, whatever. It's not proven. Nothing's proven. You can't prove it now because obviously it's gone. But it's possible. It's possible that something could have been swirling. I don't know. It's possible that something within Veterans Stadium could have caused it, but like I said, you don't know.
Let's put it this way: the vet wasn't exactly the most sanitary place to
it's
play baseball,
and it's a weird coincidence if you have multiple players who played in one place all pass away from different forms of cancer and whatnot. But obviously you can't prove it. But anyway, to kind of move on from that, because we don't want to be too
depressing,
negative, I guess. Yeah. But now the Phillies. So they went 1-5 to start their 8-game road trip. They lost the first 5, and then they beat the Rockies in the 3rd game of their set. So they got swept by the Angels, who they haven't beat since like 2003, and then they lost 2 or 3 to the Rockies, and then came back in the 9th inning in the 3rd game to beat them. So they're 1-6 on the 6-game, in their last 6 games, which are the first 6 games of an 8-game road trip. They'll finish up tomorrow. Well, today, if you're listening to this when the day it goes up, because they have a 2-game series in Atlanta before they go back to Citizens Bank Park for Alumni Weekend. But yeah, so a little bit out of order from the outline, but it's probably the most important thing that's going to be going on since the Phillies don't really matter too much. So Rhys Hoskins, it was announced. Well, Tom Halsonick, who writes about he covers the Iron Pigs for the Morning Call, I believe. He reported earlier today, before the lineups for the Iron Pigs came out, that Rhys Hoskins was going to be playing left field, which is the first time he has played anywhere but first base since he was a freshman in college at Sacramento State, where he played left field a little bit. So Yeah, and Matt Breen, I believe it was. I forget if it was Breen or no, it was Gelb. Matt Gelb from the Philly Inquirer. He wrote a story about it, saying that this move has kind of been in the works for a few weeks now, and that it's kind of just an experiment to see, how Hoskins hits and how he performs. Because if he can handle a move to left field, um, not be distracted by it, and continue to hit, then they said that he could be promoted within the next few days here, which is exciting in a way, but then in another way, it's like, well, why can't you just promote him as a first baseman because the one we have now isn't too good? So, I mean, like I personally like, I'm not too sure about it because although it is temporary, it doesn't come over too well as the Phillies unwilling to, promote Hoskins to play first base over our current first baseman, Tommy Joseph, who, isn't good. He's not that good.
Yeah.
He's not good enough to where you have to move Rhys Hoskins just to promote him. And although there is a spot open right now with Aaron Altair on the DL, I would rather play Daniel Nava every day in left field, and then Hyunsoo Kim for a few days here and there. But still, I don't get it too much.
Yeah. This just screams like Darren Ruff again, which okay. Let me be clear with that. Like, Darren Ruff was not as good as everyone thought he was going to be, and that was everyone's first mistake with Darren Ruff. Like, they thought he was going to be the next Ryan Howard, and he was going to hit 40 home runs every year. Darren Ruff was not capable of doing that in any type of way. With that said, I don't like the Phillies being like, oh, well, Tommy Joseph is our first baseman, we're going to commit to him for the rest of the season. So, because even though we still acknowledge that Rhys Hoskins is probably better than him, we're not going to, just put him where he should be. We're going to make him learn a new position and, bring him up under those circumstances. There's no point in it. I get that you want to bring him up here, and he is Major League ready. I don't think anyone's debating that. Hoskins has nothing else to learn in AAA. He is completely ready. He probably could have been up mid-season. The problem is,
sure.
Tommy Joseph, like you said, isn't good enough. He's not capable of starting for a contending team, and obviously we're not a contending team, but if you want to be contending, Tommy Joseph's not who you're going to start. And
yep.
Hoskins is going to start at first base next year. Unless he completely
Yes.
bombs in spring training or gets hurt, he will be your opening day first baseman in 2018. But it's frustrating to see them kind of commit to Joseph, who hasn't given them a reason to commit to him.
Yeah.
Even if it is just for a few games.
Yeah, I think it's a weird kind of thing because you see. Okay, so back when. First, before I get sidetracked, you mentioned Darren Ruff. So, Darren Ruff, okay, he had 833 plate appearances in the major leagues, right? He hit 240, 314 on base, 433 slug, right? Not good, not horrendously bad, but it's not good enough for a everyday starting first baseman on a contender. Yes. Tommy Joseph, 758 plate appearances, so he's at about 80 less plate appearances than Ruff. 253, only 13 batting points higher. 307, 7 points lower on base. 470, which is only 37 slugging points higher than Ruff. And everybody knows how much, everybody was like, oh, we need to get Darren Ruff, off this team now. Because he sucks. And Tommy Joseph has, since coming up, Tommy Joseph has practically the same numbers. Just a small difference in batting average and on base, and then he's a little bit higher in slugging percentage. But that makes sense because Tommy Joseph's raw power is better than Darren Ruff. So, anyway, and there's people who obviously know baseball and are saying get Tommy Joseph either out of here or just give Rhys Hoskins the starting job now and then deal with Tommy in the offseason. But then there's the other people who are saying, well, Tommy Joseph. No, like if you just look at those numbers and then you're a person that also wanted to get Darren Ruff out of here, then you have to kind of be, logical about it and say, okay, well, we need to get Tommy Joseph out of here, bring up Rhys Hoskins, see what he is, because if you don't bring Rhys Hoskins up now, yeah, like Kyle said, Rhys Hoskins should have realistically been up mid-season because all he had to prove in AAA was that his AA season at Reading, where the ballpark obviously there in Reading is pretty hitter-friendly, all he had to do to prove that he was Major League ready while in AAA was just maintain a good stat line, hit some home runs, hit some doubles, not strike out way too much, and walk a decent bit. And that's exactly what he's done the entire season, pretty much, aside from a few weeks, like a month ago. So, yeah, it kind of sucks that they're moving him to left field, at least just for now, just to get him up here. But I kind of get why they're doing it in the sense that if he can play left field, then they know that going forward he's a little bit more versatile. But I don't know. I still don't get it that much. Like if you're looking that much to kind of stretch it for an everyday left fielder, at least for the next couple weeks while Aaron Altaire's, just call up like Andrew Pollin or something like that from AAA. Like I don't know. I just don't see it.
Yeah. So like if you're gonna, so let's just compare. Just for the sake of it, Ruff's like the season of like everyone knows that I'm talking about, like the 2012 Reading season, his breakout season, to Hoskins last year. But then we're also gonna look at the following year for the two of them. So Ruff in 2012 with Reading had 139 games, 583 plate appearances, 38 home runs, 104 RBIs, 65 walks to 102 strikeouts, a 317 batting average, 408 OBP, and a 620 slug. Hoskins, 281 batting average, 377 OBP, 566 slug, 38 homers and 116 RBIs, 71 walks to 125 strikeouts. So there obviously looks like Ruff, and like obviously like Ruff had the better season that year. Then when you look at 2013, and Ruff's move to AAA, and also the Phillies, it's not good.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm gonna see if it actually just give me like, oh no, of course it doesn't give me like a combined stats for like between AAA and the MLB because it's just not going to, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, with Lehigh at 266, 343 OBP, 407 slug, 36 walks to 88 strikeouts, 7 homers, 46 RBIs. With the Phillies, he had 14 homers, 30 RBIs, 247, 348, and 458. 458 for his slash line. And then, obviously, when you look at Hoskins this year, he's batting 280, 385 OBP, 570 slug, 64 walks to 73 strikeouts. He has 27 homers and 84 RBIs. It's obvious by that Hoskins is, like, he's sustaining this. Ruff obviously was just... I'm not even saying that Darren Ruff was going to be a bad player. The Phillies handled him, like, completely just... It was horrible. Like, they fucked Darren Ruff's career over before it even got started. But...
Yeah, because they went apart with Howard, obviously. Because of that... Ryan Howard was an impossible move with that contract. It was just the worst time for Darren Ruff to be...
Good.
Here.
Yeah, much. Like he...
But, yeah.
If Darren Ruff was just a few years later and he was coming up when Hoskins is coming up, he would have been fine. Like, he would have been perfectly fine. But he just came up when Howard was, like, 2 years into his contract, and it was just a bad time. But obviously, Ruff wasn't really sustainable. Hoskins, at least now, it seems to be sustainable. Like, his approach is still really good. He's getting on base at an even better rate than he was last year. And that's jumping a league, so... Yeah. It just... I don't know. Hoskins is definitely capable of being in the majors. I just think that people are kind of like, oh, we're getting Darren Ruff all over again. No, Hoskins is way better. You need to make that distinction.
Yeah, and not even to, go up, whatever, but Tommy Joseph, right? So he has hit since July 1st, and these stats are, I believe, they're updated from the 5th and before, so they're not up. They're not including the August 6th. But he's hitting 259, 306, 440, 10 doubles, 3 home runs. That's since July 1st. And those numbers are, they're not horrible, right? But they're not something that you'll see on a starting or from a starting first baseman on a good team, right? And his season slash 249, 307, 440. It's like he literally had he's one of the craziest. And then even last year, 257 batting average, 308 on base, 505 slug. So he's pretty much having a worse year slugging this year. I think it's just because he has more plate appearances, obviously, because he was platooning last year with Howard. But yeah, still, he's pretty much, those numbers are pretty much just, marginal average, fringe average, everyday first baseman. And those guys start on, not good teams. So if they're going to try to, somehow, some way swindle themselves into sticking with Tommy Joseph, they're making a big mistake, which they can't afford to do because obviously there aren't many, good first basemen that are going to be up for free agency, and all the ones that are old. And you're not going to bring on an old first baseman. You're not going to really trade for one because, there's not many to trade for. So really, they just have to. Here's my thing with it, right? So I don't get the move with Hoskins to left. I don't see why you can't just bring him in, sit Tommy, and start Hoskins, 5 times a week, give Tommy Joseph 2 starts a week. But in the same sense, I can kind of see why they're leaving Tommy Joseph in there for the rest of the season. Maybe he gets hot for the last month of the year, or the last 2 months of the year, and just starts hitting, and ends up with, 25 home runs somehow. Hits 10 in 2 months, maybe 30 if he can hit 15 in 2 months. Obviously, unlikely. But if he could do it, then his trade stock goes up. You might be able to get more for him. I think Tommy Joseph, one way or another, is going to be off this team come springtime.
Yeah.
As long as the Phillies don't screw it up, basically. So.
Yeah. If he's on this team in 2018, they fucked up. That's just as simple as it gets.
Yeah, pretty much. And if God forbid he did, somehow stay on the 40-man roster, and he was on the team, he either has to be in AAA or as the at best backup first base. But the only problem with him is he can't play anywhere but first base. It's not like he could play third base or even like Hoskins, maybe be a kind of versatile, switch to left field at times. He literally can only play first base, and usually guys who could do that are they're kind of traded over to the AL. So hopefully, I really I don't hate Tommy Joseph at all. His story is incredible. Obviously, he overcame all those concussions. A switch from catcher to first base. Obviously, came up last year, played pretty well for a rookie, platooning with Ryan Howard, and then he's just not good enough to be on a contending team. If he got traded over to, I don't know, maybe the White Sox while they're rebuilding, maybe DH for them for a few years, and then kind of just keep going on that kind of train. That's probably his best case scenario, because other than that, he'll probably just end up going to AAA if he's with a good team. So, and the Phillies project to be a good team soon. So, yeah. So that's pretty much the Darren Ruff, Rhys Hoskins, Tommy Joseph comparison story. Anyway,
yeah.
So Aaron Altair, he is back on the disabled list. Hamstring issue once again. I think they kind of not rushed him, but I think they took him off before he was 100% healthy, because he came back and he was in the outfield one day, DH in the next. When they were, obviously, because they were playing the Angels. and over, obviously there, so he could DH. But I don't know. I think they should probably leave him on for at least a month, close to it. Just leave him on till the beginning of September, and then once you have all the prospects who might get call ups, depending on how well they do in the playoffs, maybe take them off. Then maybe you see how prospects are playing here. Maybe you kind of shut them down for a while. But yeah, Cameron Perkins, he was recalled in his place, so now the outfield consists of Nick Williams, Odubel Herrera, and then they have Nava and Hyunsu Kim and Perkins. So, and apparently Rhys Hoskins soon. So.
Yeah, apparently Rhys Hoskins.
But yeah, so Aaron Altair, obviously, it sucks because it with him, right? It's like a Roman Quinn thing where he's gotten injured a few times. Like obviously he had the wrist thing, and now he has this hamstring thing. But neither obviously are conflicting, a wrist and a hamstring. But like Roman Quinn, just to kind of go off on a little bit, like Roman Quinn has had all these injuries, and I don't believe one has been recurring, which is insane. But anyway, Aaron Altair, I just hope he doesn't, I just hope he doesn't try to rush himself back in a lost season, because there's no point at this time, at this point in time. So yeah. But
there's just no point. The team's done basically. Like, there's no chance of reaching the playoffs. Just chill. Just wait until you get back. There's no need. Like, the Phillies are going to keep Aaron Altair. Like, he doesn't need to worry about proving himself for like an extension. Like, you're getting brought back. So
yeah,
he can just rest. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, pretty much. And like he has proven this year, like he's been easily the most consistent player on the Phillies this year.
Yeah.
Which when Odubel has been that as good as he has been for 3/4 of the season so far, and when Cesar has been healthy, how good he's been, it's saying something. When he is kind of been the consistent player, because at one point his average was up in the 300s and it dropped down to I think about a 280, and ever since he's kind of kept it in the same boat around like 280, 290. So he's definitely looked like a guy you could build around for sure, and obviously that's a good thing, because we need guys like that. So also Eduardo Ramos was brought back up on August 2nd. So he's made 2 appearances. He has gone 2 innings and hasn't given up a run. Hasn't walked anybody, which is good. He's only given up 2 hits, struck out 3. He has lowered his ERA from a 5.52 to a 5.18. Obviously, a little bit higher than you'd still like, but it's kind of like a J.P. Crawford situation. You're not gonna look at the whole picture. You're gonna look at the improvements he's made recently, and hopefully he can keep this going forward, because he's a really damn good reliever when he's on. We saw it last year, for most of the year at least. Obviously, rookie pitchers are gonna have some blunders, but he was good last year. As my phone rings, he was really good for most of last year. So. Hopefully he can get back on track, because he could be a staple in the bullpen going forward for the next however many years.
Yeah, definitely. And I said this back in during spring training. I was really high on him, and I thought he would possibly even win the closer's job at some point. Obviously that doesn't happen, and he's struggled a little bit. But yeah, when he's on, he's on. Like, he is probably, in terms of a stuff standpoint, just pure stuff, he's one of the better relievers in that bullpen. It's just the matter of him putting it together and doing it consistently.
Yeah, pretty much. But just kind of look. So he has thrown 26 pitches in 2 outings, 19 for strikes. So that's how he's only thrown 7 balls, 2 outings, 26 pitches. Before, when he was sent down, so he had 5 appearances where he threw a combined 1 1/3 innings because he didn't record an out in 2 of his appearances, recorded 1 out in 2 of his appearances, and then recorded 2 outs in his last appearance before he was sent down. And he also gave up, 9 runs in 5 appearances. In those starts combined, he threw in those appearances he threw 14 pitches, 9 pitches, 16 pitches, 26 pitches, and he threw 1 strike when he threw 9, 5 strikes when he threw 9. So obviously you could see, like I just said, 19 strikes for 27 or 26 pitches since coming back, and he had these outings where he was just not throwing strikes before being sent down. So hopefully, he got his confidence back because his off-speed stuff is good. He has a pretty good fastball. He throws, I think, 98 or so. So yeah, like I said, if he could, keep his confidence going, keep a nice scoreless streak going, we could have something. We could have a pretty solid reliever for the next couple of years. So Andrew Knapp, obviously, as you probably have all seen. He suffered a bruised right hand. Somehow it didn't break yet. I don't know how was broken. But yeah, he's not on the DL because they didn't really think that he needed to be on the DL for a bruised hand. So didn't get placed on the DL. But they did call up Jorge Alfaro from Lehigh Valley. And just kind of, so Cameron Rupp didn't have... So we didn't have to... Basically, they called him up so we didn't have to be stuck with Cameron Rupp for 8 starts. But
exactly.
Yeah, Jorge Alfaro, he has started once. He started on the 5th, and the other 2 games he has been on the bench, which it sucks, but, the first game, I kind of get it. He just got off a plane, and he landed in Colorado, so obviously you're probably not going to play him. But yeah, then he played the second game, and then the third game was a day game after a night game, in which he caught the night game. So I get why he's only played 1 game. But yeah, he went 2 for 4, 2 walks, struck out once. Who did he catch? He caught Pivetta, and Pivetta got knocked around a lot. So hopefully that's not an Alfaro thing. Hopefully that was just a off day for Pivetta. But
plus the Rockies' offense being the Rockies' offense.
Yeah, they're at Coors Field, and it's the Rockies, and the
Rockies are good. I feel like a lot of people forget that. The Rockies are actually a pretty good team this year.
Yeah, man. Plus, Charlie Blackmon, man. He's a
pain in the ass.
Oh, my God,
pain in the ass.
But yeah.
Speaking of pain in the ass, Jake Thompson.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully, just to kind of wrap Jorge Alfaro, hopefully he could, perform well, because I think he's going to get sent back to AAA when Knapp is healthy. Either that or they DFA Rupp, which I don't care. Please do it. But they won't because he's been hitting decently as of late. So, So anyway, Jake Thompson. So Jake Thompson, he is back in Lehigh Valley as well, or he went back to Lehigh Valley. Ricardo Pinto was recalled in his place. Thompson, I think he's starting tonight, actually.
Yep.
While we're recording this, he's starting for the Iron Pigs. So he didn't look too bad. He looked really good in his first start, where he was called 20 minutes before the pretty much game started and say, hey, you're gonna start. But maybe we should just have one guy slated to start, and then 20 minutes before the game say, hey, Jake Thompson, you're gonna start. Maybe he'll pitch as well as he did, if that happens. So
just do that for every single one of the starts. It's Jake, you're never gonna start for us. Oh, by the way, you're starting tonight. Pitches a shutout.
Hey, that would be fantastic. But I don't think they do that because that's a little bit unprofessional. But anyway,
just a little.
Pinto, he's up. I think he's appeared in 1 game since coming back. I think he gave up a run or 2, but yeah. So it's whatever. Anyway, Cesar Hernandez, he came off the DL back in June. Middle of July, and he has been on fire since returning. So he is hitting, like I said, these are not including August 6th stats. He's hitting 347, 432, 480. That is a 912 OPS, and 3 doubles, 2 triples, and a home run, 10 walks, 12 strikeouts, 6 stolen bases. He's proven to be pretty much the spark plug to this offense as it stands. So obviously he's definitely gonna be a trade candidate this offseason. If he continues hitting like this, they could get a pretty solid return for him. But the only thing is, with him is that Scott Kingery doesn't have to be placed on the 40-man roster he doesn't have to be placed on the 40-man roster to be protected from the Rule 5 draft until next offseason. So I'm not sure if they're going to want to force Kingery into the 40-man this year and have him start opening day next year, which I'm fine with. I'm completely fine with that. But in the same sense, it's, do you kind of, take the chance on Hernandez having another breakout season next year and kind of raising his value even more, and then trying to trade him at the deadline next year and then bring up Kingery? It's obviously speculation, but I would assume that at the winter meetings this year, Cesar Hernandez will be a name talked about.
Quite a bit.
So yeah, probably a lot. He's a pretty good fit with the Angels.
Yeah, that'd be true. I think even the Cubs maybe could,
possibly as a bench guy, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Javi Baez is doing, but as far as
especially Addison Russell.
He's been
bad year. Yeah, he's had a bad year. Now he's on the DL, so.
Baez is not that. I mean, he's decent from a home run and RBI standpoint, but everything else, not so much. Not so much. So who knows? Cesar definitely will be talked about though.
Oh, without a doubt. Hopefully, the guy that isn't talked about, Odubel Herrera, he is on a 10-game hitting streak. He doubled to extend it yesterday. Well, it was a weird double. He got it started in the 9th when what did he even do? He hit it to somewhere and then he stretched it into a double. Wasn't that in the 9th inning? Yeah, because then he ended up getting to 3rd, and then he ended up getting thrown out before Rupp doubled. But anyway, Odubel has been, for as stereotypical as it is to say that he's been an inconsistent hitter this year, he hasn't. He just hasn't been. Some guy tweeted something about he's inconsistent. So I came back at him pretty much saying if you took out 1 month, he's been as consistent as you could be. He's hitting 330, or 320, something like that, with a 370, 380 on base. A 460 slug, I believe it was. He's on pace to have 40 something doubles, he might even hit 50 doubles this year. Which, is crazy, but somehow he's an inconsistent hitter. And then he said that, this guy also said that he takes 1 month into consideration more than a full season. So, and then I said, you think 1 month's greater than a year? And he said, no, that's not what I said. So, apparently this guy knows everything. Anyway, and then he just didn't reply because he knew that he was just cooked. So anyway, but
we love exposing trolls on Twitter. That's just
it's funny. It's funny when they say something and then you back it, and then you hit them with something back, and then you hit them with a bunch of stats, and then they say, oh no, that's just not true, but fake news. So anyway, so Nick Williams, okay. So obviously everybody was impressed with Nick Williams in his first, month here. But then, pitchers started to kind of figure out that, okay, if you throw him some high fastballs and some off-speed stuff in the same at-bat, you're gonna get him out. So he had to make an adjustment, and he did. So now he's back hitting up to, I believe, near 300. I think he went 0 for something last night again, but maybe he had a hit. But yeah, he's hitting up around 300 again. Every game he has reached, every game that he has at least 2 plate appearances in, he's reached, except for 5 games. Might be 6 now, because I don't think he reached last night. But yeah, so I really hope that Nick Williams can continue to do this because he's been pretty much the lone reason, besides Aaron Nola, besides Aaron Altair, besides, Cesar Hernandez and Odubel, which, when you're talking about a baseball team and you're only watching for like 4 or 5 guys, it's kind of a boring watch. But
yeah,
hopefully, if he could continue to, he's gotten into a little bit of a slump lately, but still, he's fun to watch. He hustles everything out. He's always smiling. Like he probably hasn't stopped smiling since he came up. So
he's just like
crazy.
Every time you see Nick Williams on the screen, he's smiling about something. Even if he struck out, it's like, well, at least I'm up in the majors. I don't know, he's fun. He's in 350 in August. He's, again, like you said, he's a reason to watch. And in a season where they're 29 games under 500
30.
Or whatever
something like that.
What? What's their record?
Yeah.
40 and 69. Yeah, so basically 30 games under 500.
Yeah.
You need some things to be happy about.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Speaking of things to be happy about, Cecil Sanchez promoted to Clearwater from Lakewood, which obviously great that he's already moving up. He'll probably just kind of, before we get into like what he did in his debut, he'll start next year in in Clearwater, and then probably like this year I won't spoil it, but he'll probably get bumped up around this time again next year to Reading. But yeah, so in his Clearwater debut, he went 6 innings, gave up 10 hits, 5 runs, didn't walk anybody, had 3 strikeouts, 83 pitches. This is like the weirdest line I've ever seen, because he went 6. So you figure he went 6 innings and gave up 10 hits and 5 runs. So you'd figure he was probably up in the hundreds in the pitch counts. Probably walked a bunch of people. Probably gave up a few extra base hits, home runs. He gave up 1 double, and I think he gave up 1 double and he gave up 9 singles. Didn't walk anybody. Gave up 5 runs, which I don't know. He basically got the reverse Maikel Franco effect, where everything got into play, or everything hit into play.
Yeah.
Dropped somewhere. So, I really wouldn't be too worried about that. If he can adjust quick to Lakewood or to Clearwater, which is where guys really start putting it together, where they're kind of punishing mistakes more often. If he can make a quick adjustment in Clearwater, I'd watch out, because this guy he's gonna be really good. But he's gonna be fun to watch. Climbing the system in the next couple years for sure.
Definitely, it's like I said, if he can get through Clearwater pretty easily, it's not going to take long for him to get to the majors, because as soon as he gets to Reading, as long as he doesn't screw up in Reading, they might just promote him straight from there, because you already know like his command is really good. Like, even though he gave up 10 hits and 5 runs, he didn't walk anyone. Mm-hmm. And it's not like his strike to walk ratio was bad or anything. Like, it was only 20 balls. The dude's command is unreal. It's just, he just, like you said, it was a reverse Maikel Franco. Everything fell in, everything went for a hit. So the dude already has the command of basically a veteran, and that's crazy for a guy who just got promoted to high A ball.
Yeah. One thing I have noticed, and that I haven't really seen many people mention, surprisingly, but he could kind of be on like a David Price kind of track, where obviously Price was he was drafted out of college, whereas Sixto was an international free agent signing. But but you figure, right? So David Price came up. David Price's first appearance with the Rays, when he was originally brought up, was in the bullpen at the end of the season, I believe. He came up end of the season. I think he made 1 start, and then they put him in the bullpen for the playoff run. And then he pitched well. He ended up pitching in the World Series against the Phillies, which not many people remember, because it's you don't really think about it. You've always just thought of David Price as a starter. So I can honestly, if the Phillies go out next offseason make a big splash in free agency, grab a Harper, maybe a Machado, maybe both. Who knows if they're willing. If they go out this year, maybe sign a Yu Darvish, maybe sign Jake Arrieta, someone of that sort. And then are ahead of schedule maybe in 2019, and all of a sudden they're in the playoffs. They some miraculously win the East or come really close to it. They could honestly, if Sixto's either in Reading lighting it up or was just kind of promoted to Lehigh Valley, if he continues on this timeline, they could bring him up for like a bullpen run or something like that, and then start him in the next season. Because if you haven't heard, maybe 102 out of the bullpen is all right, I guess. So,
yeah, it's kind of all right.
Yeah, so it could kind of work. I don't think they'll end up doing that because I don't see them contending in 2019.
Yeah, and
at least, yeah.
Neither did the Rays didn't expect to be competing in 08.
No.
And then they were like, all right, well, I guess since we're here, we might as well just bring them up.
97 wins. Let's just bring them up,
yeah. Yeah. And like this thing, Price went from literally I think it was high A to triple A in one season.
Yeah, he was in Vanderbilt.
How much
he
of
got
that?
drafted out of Vanderbilt in 07 and was pitching in the 08 World Series. It's insane. He went up incredibly fast.
I remember hearing about that at the time, and I was just like, didn't he just get drafted last year? Holy shit, he did. And then it was just...
yeah.
It was insane. It was just insanity. Like I said, I don't know, it might happen with Sixto. It would take a 08 Tampa run for the Phillies to, I think, bring him up in that situation, but who knows? This team has pieces in place. It's just a matter of if they put it all together, which... Who knows? Hopefully it happens. Obviously, that's the end goal, so we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know if I honestly want an 08 Rays situation to go on because we've seen what they've done since then. So,
yeah.
I mean, hey, I think we have a little bit more talent than the Rays had in 08 because they had Eric Hinsky and Longoria was a rookie and
Carlos Pena.
Yeah, Carlos Pena, Carl Crawford. Yeah, these guys who were. Not some
Scott Kazmir.
All these guys who were, Scott Kazmir who walked 6 in Game 5 of the World Series, which I think it tied the World Series record or something like that in a game. He was their ace. Somehow they won 97 games. I don't know. But yeah, maybe Sixto's on that kind of track. Maybe he's not. As of now, the ETA for his arrival probably 2020. And like I said, if everything goes perfect, if he starts to adapt to Clearwater and High A within the next 5 or so starts, finishes out the year strong, starts next year in Clearwater, lights it up, gets promoted to Reading, lights it up, gets promoted to Lehigh Valley to start 2019, maybe if he's that good, it lights it up there, then maybe he's on a David Price timeline, or maybe on a David Price, sort of run, but they probably won't be contending in 2019, so they'll just have to figure out from there. But yeah, that's Sixto Sanchez, pretty much the most exciting prospect in the Phillies system by a good margin right now, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's saying something.
And that's no disrespect to anyone
JP.
else.
No, absolutely not, because you figure. I'm saying that, and I am, a huge J.P. Crawford fan. I'm a huge Scott Kingraham, a huge Rhys Hoskins fan. Dylan Cousins, not so much, but, Alfaro, if he could put it together, obviously, me and Kyle have both talked to Scott Kingery up for ever now.
Beginning of this podcast.
Yeah, so
8 months.
In my opinion, Sixto is the most exciting prospect in the Phillies system right now, and I'm usually one that will look at a system and kind of put the most exciting tag on someone in AAA, maybe AA, and kind of hold off on the single A guys. But he's just too good to not put that tag on. So another prospect, Franklin Kilome, he was promoted to Reading after Sixto Sanchez was promoted to Clearwater. So the Clearwater rotation would have been a 7-man rotation with Sanchez, Kilame. I'm not even having this written down. Let me just think if I could see it off the top of my head. So it would have been Sanchez, it would have been Kilame, it would have been Jojo Romero, Edgar Garcia, Mackenzie Mills, Ranger Suarez, and Medina's in Lakewood. Ranger Suarez and I'm trying to think. It's slipping off me. Hang on. I need to look it up. It's gonna bother me. It would have been maybe I didn't write it down. Jojo Romero. Oh, it's Sir Anthony Dominguez. How did I forget?
Oh, how dare you?
How do I forget Sir Anthony Dominguez? Yeah. But yeah, so that would have been a 7-man rotation in Clearwater. All 7 of those guys have like a sub-3 ERA, so that's stupid if that was a thing. But yeah, so now Kilme in Reading. He'll probably start I think right now they have a to be determined on their August 9th. Or maybe it's their August 10th, but they couldn't bump him to the 9th because that was when his Clearwater rotation would have been on. So, yeah, well, obviously we'll just have to see. I mean, August 9th, August 10th, who cares, really? It's one day apart, so. Yeah, we'll pretty much just be watching out for Kilame, see what he could do. He had a pretty good year with Clearwater. He didn't really improve on his pitches as much as everybody would have liked to, but now that he's in Reading is going to be the real test because obviously everybody knows that that Reading ballpark is something else to hit in. So.
It's Coors Field times infinity.
Yeah, and it's not even elevated. It's below sea level if anything. So
yeah,
not probably not, but you know. But yeah, that'll pretty much wrap it for the Phillies. Not much, not a ton going on right now, other than waiting for another couple weeks until prospects start coming up, maybe. But yeah, so that'll pretty much do it as long as you don't have anything.
Yeah, that's about it. Man, I just can't wait for Phillies prospects to get up here.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. 2018 spring training, it's going to be fun, when JP, Kingery,
Hoskins.
Maybe even, Hoskins, Quinn, Nick Williams, Altero, Dubel, Alfaro, Knapp. Man, like all these guys that we've been talking about for what seems like 5 years now. Well, I mean, we've been talking to about JP for almost 5 years. It's been 4 years, so it's just gonna be fun to finally see these guys who, we've been talking about as like the prospects, and they're finally gonna be major leaguers. So yeah, so it's gonna be fun. But as for my hot, it's gonna be really simple this week. It kind of goes out to Eagles fans, and it's just don't overreact from preseason games.
You serious?
Matter, good or bad. Obviously, it's not just Eagles fans, but who overreact to a lot of stuff. But Eagles fans in general, I've kind of seen as a lot. There's a lot of them. I get there's a good amount of people who don't, but then there are also a good amount of people who they'll overreact to either the good or the bad. Obviously everybody kind of overreacted to that 2010 team in spring training in preseason. we all saw that. We all saw how that kind of turned out. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. But oh yeah. But anyway, I'm just. Enjoy it. Football's back. Enjoy it. You get to see guys hit each other again for fun. And yeah, it's just that simple. I'm gonna be watching. I'm not gonna be flipping out on every good thing that happens. I'm not gonna be cursing at every bad thing that happens. I'm just gonna be taking it easy, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So.
Spend all you can do in preseason. Just don't get worked up about it. It's going to be stupid because everyone is going to freak out about it because that's how Eagles fans are. But it's whatever.
Yeah.
Just
pretty much.
Try not to go too crazy with especially in the first preseason game. Like in the third preseason game where things like more so matter, whatever.
Yes,
but
yes.
first one, just relax. Football's back. Enjoy it.
Yep, pretty much, exactly. But yeah, that'll pretty much wrap it up for the 26th episode. As long as Kyle, you don't have anything else that you would like to quickly touch on.
Nope, that's it. You can take us out.
All right, sounds good. All right, as always, thank you for listening. We will be back again next week, as long as nothing catastrophic comes up, like a asteroid hits the Earth or something. But I think we'll be good. But yeah, so as always, thank you for listening. This has been the 26th episode of the Drive Podcast. For Kyle, I'm Jared. Take it easy. We'll see you again next week.